I don't know if anybody can see me. Let me ask Moreen to come up. Hi everyone, if you can see me, I'm just setting it up and asking Moreen to join. Moreen, hi everybody, I see you. I see Moreen. Moreen, I'm trying to see how to invite you. Okay. Here we go. Okay, maybe I can see it from here. Okay, technical issues. I know it's Mercury retrograde. I have no idea how to invite Moreen. You sent me a request. Okay, where is the request? This is a good question. I see share videos with your viewer. No. No, that's not it. Let's see if it is.
Hey!
We got it.
It
Okay.
worked. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I know
Perfect.
we did a rehearsal, but it's different when you go live. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Well,
Okay.
I'm glad you figured out how to do this because I actually wouldn't know how at all. So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad I did. So good morning. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so glad that we already have some people joining us and we have an exciting, I think, an exciting, hopefully, kind of plan for today.
Definitely, definitely. So let's start with what's going on in the sky today, I think. And I'll give just a rundown of what's happening because today is a really special day. The sun meets Pluto today, and the sun is doing it once a year. So today is that once a year meeting. And the sun will continue 365 days until it meets Pluto again. And whenever the sun meets Pluto, it's a bit of a heavy energy because Pluto is that transformer energies that is unearthing and unveiling some maybe traumatic events, some secrets, some stuff that we are usually putting in the back of our mind, in our subconscious, and we're not really wanting to deal with it. And in combination with tomorrow's full moon in Cancer, full moon is always the symbolism of having more light. So things are coming up and emotions are boiling probably. And together with Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, we have a lot going on. And in a nutshell, it is saying, we all are carrying some childhood traumas and they lead to lack of self-love, which leads to all kind of emotional problems and complexities in us actualizing ourselves. So I think with this kind of energies, and everybody is feeling it. I mean, I feel it, you probably feel it, everybody is feeling it in different ways and in different intensities. And that's really important to understand that some people are more intense than others and it touches them in different ways. So I think today we'll have most of our conversation is about the moon because the moon represents how we habitually and instinctively respond to things. And I know you and I talked about it, so maybe you give your view of what we're talking about today with that moon
Yeah.
and emotions.
Well, first of all, I just want to send us all some strength to get through whatever challenges may come up, and depending on how deeply buried or unhealed some of our traumas may be, it sounds like it's all going to be kind of giving us an opportunity for things to come to the surface. Although uncomfortable, it sounds like if we've got some tools, it might be a beautiful opportunity to kind of resolve some of that. But you talked about self-love, and in my therapy practice, I do a lot of work with helping people find healthy love, understand healthy love, and self-love is always a part of healthy love. And I learned something really interesting that I want to share. I learned it actually quite recently. But when you think about the heart, Galit, when you think about the organ, the heart, a lot of times people think the heart, they think of the heart and they think it represents love, right? It's the organ that we most associate with love. If I was to ask you, how does the heart work? What does the heart do? In your most simplest answer, what would you say the heart does?
Pump blood.
Yes, the heart pumps blood. And most people will say it pumps blood throughout the body. But what I learned, and this was just like mind-boggling to me when I learned it, and it maybe is obvious to you, but the heart, it is responsible for fueling our body for pumping blood throughout our body, but it first pumps blood to itself. And only after it pumps blood to itself, then it pumps blood throughout the whole system. Because the way, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that just mind-boggling? And so many of our relationships, our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with our loved ones, is based on this idea that love is self-sacrificing, love is martyrism, love is boundaryless, love is not having a sense of self. And all of these are unhealthy forms of love because by design, in Mother Nature's, in her infinite wisdom, or the creator, the universe, whatever you believe in its wisdom, created us to first pump what we need to ourselves and then to take care of everyone else. So that's my offering to people during this time, to really think about self-love, self-care. In what ways, as you'll explain, the different signs and how they might react to this, the blanket kind of general statement might be to people, in what ways are you going to be caring for yourself through this time, as traumas come up, as challenges comes up, as irritabilities might come up? What are you doing to take care of yourself, to pump life force and life energy and life giving to yourself first, so that then you have to give to others?
Wow, that was beautiful, Maureen, because it's so true. And I think, especially I'm from an older generation, so we were taught that if you do self-love and self-care, you're selfish. And
Yes.
that was a really negative connotation. So a lot of generations, older generations, my parents, definitely their parents, they needed to be selfless, and they carried traumas without any opportunity to heal themselves. And they perpetuated those traumas to younger generations just because it was not customary to do self-love and to take care of ourselves first. It is not selfish. It definitely isn't. And I'm so grateful to see the shift in consciousness nowadays in this generation, your generation, and probably the people that are watching, that you really understand that self-care is a necessary trait in order to show up in the world as who you really are. And I want to take this back to astrology, this dynamic between you and me and the way we discover the connection between astrology and psychology. I think there is a really beautiful conversation between those two fields.
Yeah.
And I think that people come with their moon sign. And as I said, the moon sign is always about how we emotionally allow ourselves love and how we take care of ourselves and our emotions. And some of the moon signs are more selfish than others. So a moon in Aries would be considered naturally to take care of itself more. It would be considered a little bit more selfish than a moon in Pisces. A moon in Pisces will always put themselves on the line for others and will take care of others first before they take care of themselves, because their boundaries are not as strong as a moon in Aries that take care of themselves first. Or somebody says, I have a moon in Scorpio. Yeah, moon in Scorpio, for example, is so sensitive and needs so much space for self-healing that sometimes it would look that they're withdrawing from society because they really need the space. Here's a moon in Pisces, somebody says, they're really putting themselves out there. So naturally we all come with different ways of responding to emotions and to emotional needs of ourselves and others. So, do you want to go through the signs? Maybe we should just run through the signs and.
Yeah, I think, well, we've got, thanks to you, we've got an exciting treat later on towards the end where you're going to be doing sort of mini readings for people where their moon will be a part of that. But I think we should go through all the moons, and then for people who submitted their big three before, we can do that later. Yeah, I think it would be great to go through all the moons, and then I can talk about from a psychological perspective about the subconscious, about our instincts, and
Right.
sort of a general framework for that.
Right. And I want to add that Moreen and I did a podcast about, we went through all the moons in details and we bounced off each other. I spoke about the astrology point of view of what that moon brings, and Moreen talked about coping mechanisms for that kind, if that moon becomes vulnerable, coping mechanism to that kind of a moon. So I urge you to go onto my YouTube Astrology Dome and watch that video, that podcast that we did. It's a lengthy podcast and it's definitely worth watching. So yeah, so I'm just going to do a mini kind of
Mm-hmm.
that podcast, right? So Moon in Aries, Moon in Aries is that warrior that wants to go and conquer, wants to initiate things, needs to be in movement, needs to be independent and first. So what does the moon in Aries does when it doesn't feel comfortable? What does it need to feel comfortable? For example, if it has intense emotion, go for a walk, do something physical, do some sports, take initiative, just do. The moon in Aries needs to do, it calms them down, for example. Would you like to respond or would you like me to just go over the moons?
I think you should just go over the moons. Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay, so let's do that. So Moon in Taurus is that stable moon that loves art, love comfort, love to feel good about themselves, love beauty. In Taurus has to have this beauty and security. It's a security-oriented moon. And so what do you do when you have a moon in Taurus and you feel vulnerable? My advice is stay quiet, cook some good meal. You love to eat. Moon in Taurus loves to eat, and maybe cuddle with somebody because Moon in Taurus love physical sensation. So that's a good one. Moon in Gemini is always playful, charming. They like to socialize. They're very mental moons, so they need to explain things to themselves, to understand. That's a key word. So when you feel uncomfortable, go read about it. Search for the answer about whatever you feel uncomfortable. Talk to someone. You like to be communicative, so that's a good one for a moon in Gemini. Moon in Cancer. Today we have a moon in Cancer. So we all are kind of feeling that color of Cancer. Cancer is all about home. It's feeling home, feeling secure. It wants to have family, moon in Cancer. So if you're feeling vulnerable today or any other time, stay home, stay with your family, talk to your family, get comfortable in your own home, in your own surrounding. That's moon in Cancer. Moon in Leo. Moon in Leo always like to be seen. Moon in Leo is, they need to play some sort of a role. They're very generous people, very warm people. They love kids. So go do something with someone that you love. If you feel vulnerable, go seek the attention that you need. Make sure that you have that special someone that can hug you and give you the attention. You don't have to be that brave person all the time. You can also get comfort from someone. That's moon in Leo. Moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo are those people that they care about their health and well-being, and they're very detailed oriented, and they care that things would be exact. So if you feel vulnerable, go clean your house, organize your desk, organize your life. Do create that plan. Go do some yoga. They also mind body connection for the moon in Virgo. So those things would be kind of comforting for you. Moon in Libra. Moon in Libra loves beauty. They also love harmony. They don't want to make waves. They want to have everything harmonious around them. So go talk to someone or go to the museum or create some art and do something you love that gives you this security if you feel uncomfortable. Moon in Scorpio. We just had someone with a Moon in Scorpio. Moon in Scorpio always runs very deep. It's deep, intense emotions. Sometimes you need to retrieve and be by yourself, but you're a great researcher and you are a natural psychologist. So go read about it. Go read about what bothers you and why you feel vulnerable. Get the first information and maybe then get out and talk to people because you need to process it yourself first. Moon in Sagittarius. Moon in Sagittarius wants to know everything, wants to be on the move, wants to travel, wants to go on adventure. And so if you feel uncomfortable, go hiking. Somebody's writing so true. I wonder about which kind of a moon. Moon in Sagittarius, go hiking, go to nature. That will really calm you down. Go get some sort of an excitement and that will shift your emotions really, really quick. Moon in, what do we have? Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius is that moon that needs to understand. It's a mental moon. So first reaction, if you feel vulnerable, is always to detach and process things for yourself and then understand, that's another good word, or know what it is that bothers you and only then share it with others.
Yes.
Yeah, you're smiling.
I'm smiling. I will admit I have a moon in Aquarius, and that is so true.
Somebody says true about the moon in Scorpio. Okay. Moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces are the most sensitive people besides the moon in Scorpio that are very intense. Moon in Pisces, they always care to save the world. They have this enormous unconditional love and ability to embrace others. So go take care of yourself. Go take a bath, go to the ocean, be out in nature. Take care of yourself if you feel vulnerable because just over excessive taking care of others, you need to set some boundaries about that. So
it's so interesting. I can't wait to hear about, people's big three readings. I'm seeing Izzy write, me too, Mo. That's cool. So let's talk about, people had submitted some questions that I wanted to kind of ask, and maybe I could ask you some questions now that you've talked about it, and then we could go into kind of understanding a little bit of psychology around trauma and talking about what that is and the subconscious mind, and then we can go into other things that come up. But here are some of the questions that people had on my profile that I'm not sure if you had some questions submitted on yours in the stories, but thank you to everyone who submitted their questions in the stories. If you have questions now, you can ask them and I'll read them to Galit here. But the first question that I had was, how do you, from your perspective, how can someone knowing their signs help them in life, mentally cope? That was one of the questions.
Okay, it's a tricky answer. It's a complex answer because knowing your sign gives you some sort of an idea, but knowing your chart gives you a really, really good idea of who you are. And so I view astrology as a self-discovery tool. And the more we discover about ourselves, and the more aware we are of who we are and what our greatest gifts and greatest challenges are, we know how to navigate, how to enhance our gift, to provide value for ourselves and others, and how to negate the challenges and deal with them and create value from those challenges. So knowing your chart is the better route than just knowing your sign. Knowing your sign is just a certain part of your chart. The chart is complex. It is comprised of many other components that are important.
Yes, and I can personally attest, since I know about, charts and I had my own chart through you, I know that has absolutely been my experience. And if you haven't had a chart reading, I highly recommend that you do that, especially with Galit. But I highly recommend that you do that because it is so informative. It is so informative.
I remember when, I'm just going to share an anecdote. When I was 18, somebody gave me an astrology book. And I started looking at it, and then I created my chart. And I was in awe, discovering all those things about myself because I was a teenager, not knowing much about myself. And it opened my mind to so many things. It was my journey, the start of my journey of knowing myself. And it's a never-ending journey, as you know, but it gave me a good base of understanding.
Right. Yeah. So the next question that someone asked was, how is getting a chart reading different than going to a psychic?
It's a good question. Psychic. Psychic is someone who is intuitive and feels things about you. Most of our communication is nonverbal, right? Maybe how much? 6 to 8% is verbal, and the rest is nonverbal. So a psychic picks up all those nonverbal things about you, and they can show it to you. They can mirror it back to you. Plus, they have some sort of understanding of reading energies, and so they get all kind of information. We all are psychic. We all get this information. It depends how much we allow ourselves to translate and work with it. An astrology chart is a picture of the sky, how they looked when you were born. It is never changed. It is sort of a code. I call it a code. And it is showing what you came here for, what you come here with, what's your karmic baggage is kind of, what you came to heal and transform, and what your gifts are, what your biggest gift and traits are, because we all come with amazing traits that we can play with and grow with. Mm-hmm. And so it is very precise. Obviously, it is not a science. Astrology have departed from science around the 1600s. Until then, most of the scientists were also astrologers, but it kind of did a fork, and science became that, and astrology became that. And I think it's because of lack of body of knowledge and valuable research. But it is much more precise, and we have a lot of knowledge about it. So psychic is more of an intuitive feeling of that particular person, but in astrology chart, most of the astrologers would be able to read your chart almost similarly.
Mm-hmm. Great answer. We have a question here. It says, any astrology books that you recommend? I've been reading all the Stephen Forrest ones, but I would love to read more from different authors. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, well, it depends in which level you are. If you're a beginner astrologer, I just ordered this book, and I think it's great for beginning astrologers. And I put it here so you can all see. It is by Carol Taylor. I think she does a fabulous work. Maybe we should link it later in as a link.
Yeah.
I also love The Only Way You Learn About Astrology by Marion March, and what's the other name? McEvers, I think. Mm-hmm. It's a series of 5 books that would lead you from the beginning all the way to advanced, and I like them.
That's awesome. We have another question here. What does it mean when the right half of your chart is empty and it doesn't contain any planets?
Okay, good question. So the chart has, do I have a chart here? I probably do somewhere. The chart has 4 quadrants. The lower quadrant is actually, if you have a lot of emphasis there, it means that in this lifetime, you're working on self-development. You develop yourself and you're more aware of yourself. You come not so aware of yourself, but you develop that awareness. The upper part of the chart, if you have a lot of emphasis there, that means you came to be in the public eye and you're dealing with a lot of people in this lifetime. If the right side, which is the Western side, it means also you're dealing with a lot of people, but you're combining self-development through dealing with people. And if the left side, which is the Eastern side of the chart, is full of emphasis, you're discovering who you are on an instinctual level. Those are the first 3 houses. But you're also dealing with society in a grand scale. So maybe you belong to organizations and you're just showing up in society on a grander scale, where the Western part, you're doing more one-on-one intervention or work with people.
Mm-hmm. That's an awesome answer. Another question that was previously submitted was, can a chart tell you when you'll get married?
I love this question. um, yes and no. Yes, yes, a chart can tell you when would be a window of opportunity and a good time for you to get married, and maybe when you're going to meet that special person. Yes, but are you going to be ready? This is the question. If you didn't do enough work and you still have care, you're still carrying relationship trauma, let's say, and that prince of your dream is coming along, are you going to be ready to accept? Maybe yes,
Mm,
maybe not. So,
yeah. Well, this feels like a really good segue to talk about trauma. And that was the last of our pre-submitted questions, but that I had. I'm not sure if you had any, but this feels like a good segue to talk about trauma a little bit from a psychological perspective, because so many people come to counseling, whether they're aware of it or not, because in some way, shape, or form, they feel stuck right now in the present moment. And that stuck feeling, whether it's in their relationship or in their business or with their children, that stuck feeling is not because they are stuck in the now. It's because of something in their past that has sort of held on to them that they have not let go of. And now, in their desire to move forward through life into the next phase, they're unable to because they have not untangled the connection that they had to that trauma, whether it was trauma from childhood or developmental trauma or trauma from relationships. There's sort of like a string that holds them back, and they really feel it. When they come in, they'll oftentimes say to me, I want to move forward. I want a relationship. I want to make more money. I want to be this amazing leader in my organization, but I can't. I feel stuck. I feel confused. I feel pain now. And really, that's an indication that there's some sort of unresolved trauma. And so, a trauma specialist like myself is someone who really studies how to heal from trauma by understanding the mind, the body, and the spiritual kind of connection between all of these, which is why I love what we're collaborating on, because in some ways it feels very kind of like intertwined with the spiritual aspect of it. But essentially, when we talk about the mind, we talk about the subconscious mind. And then when we talk about the body, we talk about the nervous system, the body, and the brain, which is also a part of the body. And then when we talk about the spirit, we talk about the kind of the other elements that don't go into the mind and the body. And so someone asked a question about how do we heal from trauma in one of the earlier posts that I posted. And it's a complicated thing. But what I want to share in terms of, as everyone's trauma will be coming up right now during the galactic news that you shared, trauma healing is a process. And it doesn't happen instantly, and it doesn't happen overnight. And you're still worthy of love and respect as you go through your healing journey. And it isn't an easy journey. But healing from trauma is a change process. So I want to start by saying, what is trauma really? And the way I like to explain things is I like to think of, if I was to explain it to a child, right, how would I explain what trauma is? And so my favorite way to describe it is, trauma is a moment in time where your nervous system, meaning your brain in your body, your brain and your nervous system got impacted, got dysregulated because of something that was happening in your external world. It affected you on the inside. It left an imprint on you. And in that moment of the thing that happened, right, whether it was abuse or whether you were abandoned or whatever that was, in the moment that the bad thing was happening, your nervous system, your brain and your body linked together and started recording everything on hyper speed so that your nervous system and your brain could remember this, so that when certain, so that it could build an alarm. And then the body builds an alarm system based on these experiences, so that the next time something happens, you have an alarm system ready to go that fires up, and your body starts to prepare you for whatever it is that you think is going to happen, right? So an example of this would be if a person grew up with an abusive parent, let's say a person grew up with an emotionally volatile or abusive parent, or an alcoholic parent. When you hear the car pull into the parking lot, right, that as a child would have triggered and activated the alarm system to go off, and immediately your brain and your body would secrete chemicals that wire you to be on hyper alert. So you are scanning everything in your environment, your senses are amplified, the adrenaline is coursing through your body. Whether you want it to or not, it's your body's attempt to protect you and care for you. The issue is what happens later on in life where my body decides for me what is scary and what isn't, based on old wiring, based on what happened to me in the past. That means that I'll go, I might be sitting at home with my husband, and a car will pull up into the driveway, and it'll be maybe the same car that, maybe my parent drove. And that will automatically, my body will already be loaded with adrenaline without my permission, and I will be on alert. And I will feel the same chemicals rushing through my body that I did in the time that the trauma happened. And it doesn't matter if the event was big or small, right? It doesn't matter if someone else thinks that what you went through was traumatic or not. Your body is the ultimate decider of the impact that these events are having on you. And so many of our reactions and so many of our relationship problems and so much of our limitations that we think exist in the world are really rooted in trauma. And so what I'm hearing you say is for however long we'll be in this sort of cosmic energetic space, this is a really interesting opportunity to become aware of what kinds of things frighten you. What scares you? Does success scare you? Does being seen scare you? Does failing scare you? Does social interaction scare you? What scares you? Because that could help you gain insight into what is holding you back from moving forward. What's part of that trauma link? And what happens in your body when you get triggered by whatever it is that scares you. And usually it's a thought, it's a memory, it's a visual representation of something similar. So, from a psychological perspective, I would recommend that people really take out a piece of paper and write down the things that they are either consciously or subconsciously working. It'll be difficult to do subconscious work, but writing down what it is that you think is your limitation in life, what is scaring you, and then try to draw a direct line to moments in your past where you may have had a nervous system reaction to that.
Wow, Moreen, this is Sun Pluto. That's what we have today. You're the embodiment of that. You just said the embodiment of what it means. I think you're right on, because what scares us is what's blocking us, and
Yes.
if we don't heal that, we keep staying blocked. And I see many people giving themselves many excuses. Oh, it's because of that, right? But I think we've reached a time in human consciousness, at least here on Instagram, where we are in our consciousness, that we want to deal with our trauma, that we want to breathe and release that fear and the holding back part, and we want to heal, and we want to live life on the best terms possible. We understand that life is a gift, and we want to enjoy it and actualize ourselves. So it's beautiful. Your explanation was superb. And I think somebody saw, I saw somebody writing, what do you do when you find out what the fear is? So what do you
Oh,
do with that? Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a great question. And again, it's a process, which is why I'm a big believer in therapy, especially finding a good therapist, because what a good therapist will do was a therapist is trained to listen to the things that you're not saying, and then to make those things, bring them to your awareness, bring them to your consciousness. And sometimes when I'm sitting in session and someone is telling me a story that they've said 20, 30 times about their childhood, right? It's in that moment that I'll say, I'm not sure that you heard yourself say this, but what I'm seeing you do is I'm seeing your shoulders go up to here, and I'm seeing an 11 right here, and I'm seeing that your body is communicating fear when you bring up that memory. So what is it about that memory that left an imprint on you? And walk them through the process of identifying what are the thoughts, what are the physical sensations, what are the memories associated with that, what are the beliefs that I have generated as a result of my experience. And that's really the process, right? I'm simplifying it, but when someone identifies what they're afraid of, that's essentially what you do. You write down, what are the thoughts that I have every single day as it relates to this topic? And some of the thoughts might be something like, I can't do that, or who will people think I am? Or I'm not good enough to do that, or I'll never find someone who loves me, or all men are garbage. I've heard that one before. All men are garbage, right? I'll never find someone good. These are the thoughts, right? That you just say casually, you think every day, you probably thought them the day before and the day before that. So, but these thoughts come from some place in your story, in your life. So the first step you do is you find out, what are the thoughts that I have every day that are rooted in fear? Like maybe if I'm afraid of getting hurt, I might think the thought, there's no good people out there anymore, right? And then once you identify, these are the thoughts I think every day, and I've thought them for years, then you write down, my body, meaning my brain, my nervous system, when I think about the memories associated to those thoughts, where I first started to believe those thoughts, what kinds of physical sensations come up in my body? And I'll give you a great example for this. Let's say as a little girl, I walked up and I put my finger on a hot stove. Not like, I don't know why I did it like that, but let's say I did and I put my finger on a hot stove. Instantly, my body starts recording at hyperspeed. My nervous system starts to release chemicals and hormones, and my brain starts to memorize and scan the environment so that I then develop an association instantly. And neurologically, things wire inside of me so that when I see a stove, my body knows that's dangerous, that's hot, that's painful. And so I may go on my adult life never really consciously thinking stoves are dangerous, stoves will hurt you, stoves are bad, don't touch the stove, be afraid of the stove. I'm not going to consciously think that. It's just going to become a part of me subconsciously. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I will instinctively just avoid touching the flame. I know that that's something scary. Well, think about how many things in life have hurt you in the past, have made you feel afraid, frustrated, lonely, lost, confused, that you just automatically avoid, don't go there, don't put yourself in that position, instinctively jump to conclusions about it, that actually prevent you from going out there and living out your destiny, which, from what I learned, you can see in the charts.
This is so interesting. I just met a couple not long ago, and the man complained that she's never cooking. She
Oh,
hates, the stove example just reminded me maybe she had that experience and she's just afraid of the stove and she never
yes,
wants to cook. So he's
yes,
missing the home, the feeling of home in a wife cooking, and she
yes.
just can't cook because she doesn't even know that she's carrying that trauma. So this is
Exactly.
so interesting how things show up in our life, right? And we don't even know that they could.
Exactly.
I want to take
Exactly.
this back and ask you a question because we're going to have a full moon tomorrow and we're already feeling it. And it's in the axis of Cancer Capricorn. And this is about tradition and family and emotional security within the family. And how do we belong to a family? And where do we find where home is for us and what the meaning of home is?
Yeah.
So, um, and today in my video, in my daily video, I said that we are in a stage in humanity that in human evolution that we want to heal not just our trauma but our ancestry trauma, because some of our trauma is not even ours. It may have been something that have happened to our parents and they told us about it, or they just if a mom is afraid of dogs and she teaches her kids not to touch a dog and to be afraid of dogs, it's not their trauma. It's obviously it becomes their trauma, but we kind of, I feel that we're in a state that we want to heal a lot of trauma that is not just ours.
Mm.
What would you say about that? Because I feel that we are carrying ancestral trauma, even in national trauma of the country we were born into, and the people we belong to, our tribe. What would be your reaction to that?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I think knowing the story helps. So if you have access, like let's say you're going through, you believe or suspect that you might have family trauma or generational trauma, looking for patterns, knowing the story of your ancestors, asking questions of any relatives that might still be alive as to, we did it this way in our family. My mom was afraid of dogs, and you have relatives. Can you think of any reason why that would be a part of our story? But also, even if you don't have access to that and you don't get to hear the sort of generational stories, there's lots of different somatic therapies that can help you. And science and research has really caught up to the idea that meditation is scientifically can be proven to help us rewire our body through the power of the mind. And remember, the brain is associated with the body, and the mind is the consciousness, right? And so meditation is getting familiar with the body, right? And I use getting familiar with because the Tibetan meaning for the word meditation is actually to become familiar with. So when a person is in meditation, their mind, their consciousness is becoming familiar with the body, the brain's thoughts, the brain's habits, the brain's chemical releases, and the body's addiction to certain chemicals and chemical releases. And so let's say that every morning I wake up at 6 a.m. and the first thing I do is I check my phone and I check my emails and I go on TikTok and I go on Instagram, and my body, my brain, my nervous system, my body anticipates that I'm going to get a certain release of chemicals at my wake up time. And let's say I decide I want to change and I want to do meditation. And so let's say I make a commitment that I'm not going to check my phone and I'm going to meditate when I first wake up in the morning. Well, my body is addicted to the chemicals and hormone releases at certain times. And so I'll be sitting in a meditation trying to, become conscious and trying to be all zened out. And my body and my brain will go, don't you have an email to check? What about TikTok? What's going on it? This hurts. No, we have to do laundry. Remember the laundry? Because the body loves the familiar. The body loves the same chemicals, the same hormones, the predictable known experiences. And so meditation is the practice of the mind, the consciousness becoming familiar with the body's natural addictive tendencies and desires, becoming aware of that, and then sitting through it, breathing through it, and then and only then without even knowing your story or going through therapy, through that process, you can start to develop new neuronal connections and become the owner of the thoughts and feelings and sensations that you want to have, instead of investing your mental energy and your body's energy into the same sorts of behaviors and feelings and thoughts that you had the day before. So if you don't know what your ancestral trauma is or your generational trauma, then meditation, becoming aware of your body's addictive, chemical, behavioral things, is a way out of that. Is a way through it. Can't avoid it, but a way through it.
I really love astrology psychology because I
Yeah.
think astrology is the diagnosis part or understanding awareness. It can bring immediate awareness, grand awareness. And
Yeah.
then the psychology is the processing part because we need a process, as you said, to change things and become something else or shift from one behavior to another. And regarding the process, and you've mentioned it a few times, every transit we have that is a meaningful transit, especially with the big, slow moving planets such as Pluto or Saturn, what is a Saturn return? What is a Pluto transit? Those are processes that takes a year and a half to 2 to 3 years. So those are the times that we should seek help. We should seek some sort of therapy, whatever fits our style, but definitely have someone help us go through those major transformative times in life and come out on the other side healed, different, changed, in a better situation to actualize ourselves. So I love the word process because it's true. It is not just a one shot thing and that's it. People say, oh, I'll do this ceremony and I'll come out from the other side healed. It usually takes a little more than one thing or
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
I would say that's true. Well, do you want to jump into some mini big three readings?
Yeah, let's do it. Sure.
Okay. Do you
I lost voice. I lost your voice.
Oh, can you still see me?
Oh, now you came back. Yeah, all good.
I came back. Well, now I have to be able to see it. Give me 1 second, and then I'm gonna go get him, and then I'm gonna be right back. So hopefully it doesn't disconnect me.
Okay, no problem. So in the meantime, I'm going to talk to you about the big three. And the big three in your chart mean your ascendant. You have a sign on your ascendant, your sun sign, which most of the people know what
Okay.
their sun sign is. Okay, I was talking about the big three, so let me finish. I said it's the ascendant sign, the sun sign, and the moon sign. Obviously, there are other components in the chart that are really meaningful, but those three kind of give us a mini reading of the essence of you, of what, when somebody meets you, they can say few things about you, even if they met you for 5 minutes. Those are your big three: sun, ascendant, and moon. So go ahead.
Okay, so the first one is Cancer, Libra, Pisces.
So Cancer is the ascendant. Which one is which?
Let me.
Okay, I don't know if everything froze, but no, I think we're still on. Just Maureen froze for a minute. So
Rising moon. That's the order that people gave it to me in. Sun, rising
Sun,
moon.
so Sun in Cancer, that person cares for home security and feeling in with a family. That's they're building an identity that's relating to their family. What was their moon?
Libra.
Libra. So they're nice people. They care to bring harmony to the family, and they want to make sure that everybody's heard. And their ascendant?
Pisces.
Pisces. This person really cares and helps and gives from himself, herself to the family, to everybody around. I would suggest self healing in regards to healthy boundaries because sometimes you may lose a little bit boundaries because you're such a helpful, giving person.
Okay, so hopefully if that's you, you know who you are. The next one is Taurus Sun and then Gemini, Gemini.
So, oh, Taurus double Gemini. Okay. So Taurus Sun wants security and wants to have. Taurus main key phrase is I have, and they want to have to feel secure, but they also love beautiful things. So how do this person will have and acquire things? Their moon is so agile and so mutable with Gemini, and they're very social. They'll talk their way into it, or maybe they're a teacher, maybe they're working in some sort of communication because their ascendant is also in Gemini. So they like a lot of movement and they like to learn and know a lot and be curious and have a lot of friends.
Mm. The next one is, well, let's do this one here. Capricorn Sun, Pisces Moon, Capricorn Rising.
Wow, that's an interesting one because Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising are so interested in achievement and reputation, and they have to be useful and work and achieve, and they will get there. The Pisces Moon is so different from that energy because it's such a nice, loving, unconditional, beautiful, creative moon. So I bet that person is going to have achievement, maybe in some form of creative art. If you're there, write to us what you're doing. Would love to hear.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next
Yeah,
one
she
is,
says yes. Oh my God, laughing out loud. Okay, yeah.
okay, the
Okay.
next one is Sagittarius Sun, Pisces Moon, Capricorn Rising.
Okay, so Sagittarius Sun, Pisces Moon is that person that loves to go on adventure and wants, either way, it may be a person that does a lot of high studies because it depends where it is in the chart. Maybe that person that goes through the college and university degrees, but with the Pisces, it had a Pisces moon, right? They had a
Mm-hmm.
Pisces moon.
Mm-hmm.
So, or maybe they're creative and maybe they're a sailor, maybe they love adventure and doing windsurfing or surfing or something with the sea. And with the Capricorn rising, they can take it into a practical thing and do something with it, make it a profession, make it a lifelong journey.
Mm. Sounds like a cool person. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got Taurus Sun, Scorpio Moon, Sag Rising.
Okay. Taurus Sun, Scorpio Moon is an interesting person. They are all about the axis of power and control, how to acquire a lot of wealth in this life. What was the rising? Sagittarius?
Sagittarius Rising.
So maybe through traveling, maybe they're learning other cultures, maybe they are learning. Um, yeah, they're maybe they're dealing with some interesting things about building or creating wealth through real estate. That would be an interesting person that all the time changes projects, different projects. They have to be in different projects all the time. Interest.
Mm. Okay, and then the next one is Virgo Sun, Taurus Moon, Capricorn Rising.
Oh, that's a practical person that knows how to create plans and how to execute the plans. And this person cares about the way they do things. It's got to be their own individual way. They have a system to do things, and they're proceeding with cautious because their sense of security is the most important thing for them.
Mm-hmm. And the next one is, what was the last one I just said? I
Taurus,
think,
Virgo, and Capricorn.
okay, the next one is Scorpio Sun, Gemini Moon, Pisces Rising.
Is this a researcher? Gemini Moon, that's somebody who researched something. Um, Pisces rising? Maybe
Pisces
it's
Rising.
maybe it's a psychologist even. Maybe it's someone who
Mm.
researched the depth of understanding of human interactions and relationships. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that is the person, and in a service profession, perhaps.
Okay. Well, if that's true, let us know. Okay, we've got Virgo Sun, Gemini Moon, Sag Rising. We have a lot of
Oh,
Sagittarius risings
yeah,
here.
interesting, interesting. That person is a knowledge worker. That person loves knowledge, consumes knowledge, creates content. Maybe they're in marketing. Maybe they have a lot of social life and activity with other people. They're out there.
Mm. Okay, the next one is Leo, Leo Sun, Libra Moon, Sag Rising.
Another Sag rising?
Yeah, that's what I'm
How,
saying.
how interesting. I guess all the satirizing to all of you that they're searching for knowledge. They want to know. Satirizing people, they want to know it all and they want to understand and they're curious, very curious. So that person was Leo Moon and what was Leo Sun and what was the moon?
Leo
Clear,
Sun, Libra Moon, Sag Rising.
creative person. That person is either in the arts or in drama or it's an actor or doing something that they want to show for. They want to be up there and on the stage and be a leader in something.
Is that because of the
Somebody
Leo?
just yeah the Leo. Somebody just said yeah I'm a Sag rising and I want to know it all. Yeah.
Okay,
So
the next one is Aries Sun, Libra Moon, Virgo Rising.
Aries Sun, Libra Moon, Virgo rising. Okay, so there Libra is there. That person is an entrepreneur, yet very thoughtful, likes to plan, cares for the details. However, needs to reach their target. Maybe they're doing something that is completely their own. They're creating their own path.
Mm. It says here, Curry Diva
She
wrote,
said, "Yeah,
it's
it's right
right
on."
on.
Hey, Carrie Diva, she's here, Heather. I love Heather. She's the best cook ever, the best chef. She creates the best curries ever.
Oh, well, then the name makes sense, Curry Diva. Okay, let's do a couple more and then we'll come to an end. So we've got Libra Sun, Gemini Moon, Virgo Rising.
Libra Sun, Gemini Moon, and what's the rising?
Virgo.
Again, Virgo rising, Libra Sun, Gemini. Okay, somebody who works and has to create beautiful things, but in a very detailed way and very precise way, cares for the details of what they're doing. I'm sorry, Virgo Sun, too many things.
Libra, I know it's too many signs I'm throwing at you.
Yeah,
Libra Sun,
okay.
Gemini Moon, Virgo Rising.
Okay, needs movement. This person needs movement, needs to create their own beautiful things, and they care about the details very much. They have to have a plan to what they're doing, and they have to have their own system in doing it. Hey,
Mm.
Heather.
Okay, the next one is Leo Sun, uh, Cancer Moon, Scorpio Rising.
I'm a Leo Sun, Cancer Moon. Hello, whoever you are, but I'm a Capricorn rising, so you're a Scorpio rising. Leo Sun wants to be a leader. Cancer Moon cares about others and cares to nurture others. And your Scorpio Moon, you want to know the depth of things. You really have to go all the way to the bottom of things and figure it out. Maybe you're a
Mm.
psychologist. Maybe you're working in some health related professions.
Okay, one more, and then I think we'll wrap up. Pisces Sun, Aquarius Rising, and then no, Pisces Sun, Aquarius Moon, Scorpio Rising.
Pisces Sun, Aquarius Moon, Scorpio rising. Wow, that's a new age person. That's wow, those indigo kids. You kids are millennials. You're amazing. This is a whole new energy. That person comes and brings in a message that is completely different and completely unique. This person cares for their authenticity and they want to show up as their unique self in the world. That's really important for them to actualize themselves.
Oh, wow. Well, we're sort of coming to an end. This has been so, so fun. I'm glad that we did this. Galit, I think you said that you were going to post it on yours, and then somehow, hopefully, we can also post it on mine. But
Yeah,
you can follow us both on Instagram, or we also have a podcast that we do, and you can see that on YouTube. And this has just been amazing. I think you're amazing.
I think you're amazing, Moreen. I'm so glad for this collaboration. You know, it's I think we're discovering that there is a lot of similarities and there is a lot of integration between psychology and astrology. And the more we integrate in general in society, the better we all become. So thank you very much. I'll post this on YouTube, on my YouTube, and I'll send you a link so you can post that. And yeah, thank you,
Yes.
everybody. It's a pleasure. See you next time.
See you.
All
Bye.
right.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.